If you want to transport something in a more secure manner than a pickup truck as a consumer, you really only have one option, and that is the van. I say as a consumer because semi-trucks get all the glory, but pickup trucks and vans are the backbone of this nation. But what if there's another side to them, more so than just the commercial aspects? This is the story of the van in popular culture, and every story has its beginnings. Which is why I'm starting back in the early 1960s, because for many years before that, both the pickup and the van have been incredibly useful utilitarian workhorses for small businesses around the nation. But as the counterculture movement started growing in the 1960s, people started taking these vans and making them more, making them party vehicles, almost. So they started painting them as fancy colors, they started taking them to the beach, they started being sociable with them. They started doing all sorts of crazy stuff that I can't really get into on this mildly kid-appropriate show. And yeah, it was called the van life movement. It started in the 1960s. It's not bad. I could kind of get used to this, actually. I think this bravado yoga, which became the centermost vehicle of the movement, is fantastic. And some more adventurous souls took the movement off the beach, off the road, and into the hills, in the off-road section. And they needed a vehicle to match it. Luckily, bravado also made this, the Yoga 4x4. This is a beast. This is actually my personal 4x4. I fixed the all-wheel drive system, broke it on a challenge a while ago. But with the full all-wheel drive system working, it is very good. It's got plenty of suspension travel. It's got a big old bull bar on the front. It's got, proper four-wheel drive, which helps. And it's a van, so not only is it practical in the back, more practical than a pickup truck, like a Rebel, for example, because, well, you can actually live in the back of it with, like, a roof over your head. You're not in the bed of a truck. So it's got all the capabilities of an off-roading monster while being a tiny little mobile home. A very tiny mobile home, but a mobile home that can go up this mountain. That is a hell of a feat. I'm super impressed by this, even if it is my car. And you know what? It worked. The van life movement and the customization and popularity that it brought to the bravado yoga made the yoga and bravado as a company the go-to manufacturer for vans in America. And that is no small feat considering the market share size that vans have. They established true dominance for decades with the early 2000s version of the yoga, and you can definitely see the parallels in design, because to be honest, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's pretty much the same. It's cheaper. It's a lot cheaper these days because the classic yogas have gone up significantly in value, while this thing still a nice hefty little workhorse even to this day. But there are a few places where it's not just a workhorse. In Japan, in the late 90s, there was a motorcycle racing series, and in order to get their motorcycles to the track, they used vans. And one day, while the motorbicyclists were not racing their insanely fast motorcycles around Fuji Speedway, they looked at each other and said, "I bet that my van is faster than yours." And then the other guy said, "Nuh-uh," and it sort of spiraled into a race. And as the races kept going, they kept getting faster and faster vans, which ultimately culminated in this. This thing is a bit insane. It's actually got, like, proper racing parts, full cage, racing seats, intercooler on the front, carbon fiber racing tires. It's the real deal, and this thing, for a van, is very fast. Why is this so good? I mean, it takes apex as well, it doesn't lose grip, it doesn't understeer all that much. I mean, it's not very fast, it's not gonna, challenge a top-tier race car or anything, but this is a van! It's a van, and it's genuinely fast! This is wrong, this is very wrong, and yet, I really like how this thing drives. You can even drift it. What is this thing? It shouldn't be possible to do this in a utilitarian vehicle, and yet the Yoga can. How does this work so easy? Why is this thing so easy to drive for its power-to-weight ratio? I mean, it's not even all that powerful compared to other vehicles I've driven, and yet it just chucks it about. Yoga racing is one of my favorite racing series in the world, and the performance element did not go unnoticed by its rivals. So, in 2008, Vapid made a faster version of the Speedo Custom. This is another bit of a rocket ship of a van. It doesn't have the same racing pedigree as those Japanese Yogas. However, it's a lot faster. Yep, this thing is actually a very fast vehicle. It's probably too fast for a van. I feel like a lot of people who buy this, not realizing just how fast it is, will miss a braking zone while going to a red light or something like that, and just die. But for those of you who are expecting it, yep, it's good. It's very good. This is, again, weird. And the difference between this one and the Yoga is that not only is this one faster around a track and much more powerful, you can actually customize this one a lot more. It doesn't have the same racing parts, but there's a much wider variety of painters who will paint your car pretty much however you want it. Again, van life being incredibly fast. But all good things must come to an end, and the van as a performance or fun-having experience sort of died away after the recession in 2008-2009, which meant they once again became very formal utilitarian vehicles. And you know what? The new Bravado wasn't that bad either. I mean, it was the successor to the Yoga, and it's definitely more utilitarian. There's no side doors, there's no multiple seats, there's no paint options, it's just utilitarian. But there were still a few adventurous people who painted it funny colors and whatnot, put some nice paint jobs on it. And there were even a smaller few that did not give up on its performance aspirations. Oh yes, now this is an off-road van, the likes of which we have not seen since that original Yoga 4x4. This is fantastic. This is even more practical than the Yoga 4x4 ever was. Massive bull bar on the front, massive roof rack on the top with epic spotlights, and the usual customary insane suspension travel and off-road racing tires. This is the real deal. It just soaks up bumps. This thing should not be as rugged as it is. It's one of the fastest vans in the world, regardless of surface that it is on. And yeah, this thing is flying. Quite literally sometimes. Oh, yep, the performance van is back in true fashion, and I've crashed it. The Rumpo Custom proves that the fun, fast van life is still alive and well. It's honestly one of my favorite off-roaders you can get, and it comes from a frickin' van, most known for being part of Weasel News. Yeah, it's honestly an incredible achievement. Not only does it look back to the icons that made it, like the Yoga 4x4 of old, but it also looks forward into the future for what the van life movement may very well become.